welcome to another episode of Inspired Living. My name is Verena, and today I share with you another wonderful guest. Her name is Joanne Yeoh, and she is an interspecies communicator as well as an energy intuitive. She will talk about what that actually means and how it looks in her everyday life. She will also share with us her journey. So, how it was before she became a communicator and how she learned to develop her special skills. She's also talking about how these special skills are not really that special because we all have these innate skills of communicating with our life. She will also share a few real life stories from her own practice. And then last but not least, she will also talk about an opportunity, how we can learn with her, how we can get our feet wet, so to speak, and do that at no cost, which I find so amazing, so generous. And I can just say from my own experience, Joanne is an incredible, wonderful human being, first and foremost. She is an excellent animal communicator, and it's just wonderful how she is mentoring us as a group, and it's just amazing. So I hope you will find this episode as wonderful as I do, and yeah, enjoy. Thank you really for taking the time, dear Joanne, to do this interview. And yeah, just to let our viewers know how we met, and then after I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. So I met Joanne last year, 2019, during an animal communication challenge, actually, from a fantastic site that is created by Josh Cohen. And I will also link it in the show notes so everybody can check it out. It's really wonderful. And he's doing this challenge once or twice a year. And I was really touched when Joanne, when you were offering this free time, like supporting us students who were using the site for 2 months, just free of charge. And I was like, wow, well, that's special. So I decided to take you up on this offer. And I was just really, wow, I was really wowed. So I was really happy when after this time finished, you said that you want to continue with the membership. And I'm gonna, maybe we can talk about that at the end because it's just fantastic. That's why we are here, right? Anyways, yeah. So what I would like to know is, well, basically your life story. How did you, what are you doing right now? Because some people might not even know, well, what is animal communication? And how did you get to do that?
Oh, thank you for the little story about how we met, because it's always lovely to, remember it, because sometimes what happens is I feel like I've known you for years.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when you have a connection straight away, and we've been very much involved, with working with each other very closely. I've seen how you've progressed, how you've developed, how you've flourished. So I feel like I've known you a long, long time. So, and yeah, to know that it was really only just about a year ago. I think it was summer last year. So yeah, not even a year. So hi, my name is Joanne Yeoh. I call myself an interspecies communicator and also an energy intuitive. And what that means is I connect with animals on a telepathic level. And the way that happens is that when I set the intention or set time to find out how an animal is, I will receive information from them through sensors, so they can send me something that I might be able to see, And when I see, I'm talking about just, you know, like within an imagination or just within something that I see visually, that's a sensory thing. They can send me smells and taste and words. It all comes tumbling in. And because I have been listening to animals for 4 to 5 years, it becomes, you know, second nature to me. As much as we're just talking and, you know, I can hear you verbally. So it's very similar in that way, only because I've been doing it for quite some time. And what that allows me to do is to find out from the animal, and that this is where my passion is, find out from the animal what their perspective is on their life, what their, you know, views are on their environment, their relationship with their human companions, with their animal companions. So anything and everything that we've always wanted to find out from animals, from the horse's mouth, as you know, the famous saying is. You know, that happens, that can happen. It may not happen in the way that we think, but it certainly is a way of allowing us to respect them, to really see that they are not just animals to serve us, to do as we tell them, but that they are wondrous beings, and they have a purpose on this earth. They have a purpose, you know, to be in our lives. And yeah, so animal communication is a term now that most people, I think, are familiar with. It wasn't so familiar to me when I, you know, came across it. I've been doing it about 5 years now, and I've never heard of animal communication before. I wasn't brought up with lots of animals. I wasn't brought up to do telepathy work. My kind of life history, my career, prior to kind of being more connected with energy work, was very much in the finance world, in the administration world. And then when I was in my 30s, I stumbled onto alternative therapies, and that really introduced me to energy. And then over a period of time, as I longed to have you know, a dog of my own, that allowed me to really find out more about that relationship that, you know, one can share with an animal. And I knew there was more to it, but I wasn't really of that mindset. But my dog, Donnie, my first dog, really was instrumental in me discovering animal communication, because he never ever really did as he was told. And it, and it really taught me to find a way to relate to him, because you know, when I tried to do it the traditional way, the non-energetic way, the non-respectful way, so to speak, and if I only viewed him as just a dog, I really did struggle with the relationship that I had with him. So that's just kind of like a little brief summary of how I started to understand that there was more to an animal, that they had their own personality, that they had their own way of wanting to do things, that they really need to have, in a way, you know, somebody, another person, a human to represent them, because animals need humans to understand them better. So as an animal communicator, that's my role, that I am their representative, I'm their translator, I am their mediator, I'm their voice, whatever helps to bring harmony between not just animals, all species, which is interspecies humans and animals and bees and ants. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Lovely. And you know, I think 5 years, that's not a long time for something that is so special. Or, you know, I like to think of it as magical. You know, for me, it has this magical touch. It's because it's not what you hear about in the mainstream or in the normal world, you know, this telepathic communication. And is this something that you were aware of before? Like, how did it develop for you, this, yeah,
Mm.
sixth sense or seventh sense or
I feel incredibly, I'm going to use, words like lucky, blessed, grateful, honored, because I never imagined that this is what I'll be doing, not just kind of on an informal basis, but professionally as well, which shows that there is a need for this service. So that's why I've dedicated, my working life to it. Um, so yes, I'm in that category of animal communicators who have that background whereby we didn't have lots of animals. We grew up because it's almost as if there's maybe perhaps two camps, if I can kind of generalize it. You can have the camp where there's animal communicators who are totally just at ease with talking or listening to animals, being able to sense them from when they were a child, growing up with a lot of animals around them, in fact, preferring the companionship of animals to humans, probably can't, don't really like humans so much, but really love animals. And so communication for them has always been part and parcel of their life. I represent that community of communicators whereby, I led a very kind of 3D life, as we call it. I went to school. I was expected to achieve in my grades so that I would get a good job and be an accountant. And then my entire adulthood was very much working in corporate companies, in public sector companies. So not much connection with nature or animals at all. And that's why it's such a surprise to me that and I still think about it and have such a glee that I'm doing what I'm doing because of that. And I'd like to think that because of my story, I'm also able to encourage those who are in a similar position, who think that being able to connect with animals or connect with nature, being able to be very intuitive, we must have come from that background. So no, I didn't. However, throughout, as I got in my 20s, I became very aware that it was important to me to have a purpose in everything that I did. And so I started to look around to see what would light my fire. And I stumbled onto doing hands-on therapy work, particularly with massage and aromatherapy. And through aromatherapy, which is the work of massage using essential oils, it connected me with the energy of essential oils. And I was very, very lucky because the organization or the school that I chose to study my diploma in aromatherapy with was very energetic, their approach. Very energetic in all the topics. So even in anatomy and physiology, I had an incredible tutor who linked all physical conditions with psychospiritual aspects. Totally fascinated me, threw me into a completely different dimension, and got me to understand about how we are all connected: physical, emotional, spiritual, that we were not separate. And up to that point, I just believed in physical and believed in emotional, but just did not know there was an interconnection. So through that aromatherapy, I really understood more about energy, because one of the things that surprised me was when I used to massage, I would get information about that person.
wow.
And I wouldn't, and I just thought, did they tell me that? And I would just share that with them. So certain aspects, if I'm holding their shoulder or I'm in their lower back, or different areas, I would receive information about how they were feeling emotionally. And so that then led me, and then of course the clients would be going, oh, how did you know that? And then I was known as somebody to come to, not just for the massage, but also to talk through
Oh,
things.
wow.
So then I became interested in other energetic therapies like kinesiology. And then I got very interested in subconscious work. So I trained as a hypnotherapist. And all of this had a little path that I didn't know where it was leading me. But a lot of what I did in terms of studying for those therapies was because I worked in such a demanding corporate world. It was very, very stressful. So these therapies were really to help me to have some kind of outlet. Little did
Mm.
I know it all had a little plan, or the universe had a big plan. So all through that, I still didn't have animals in my life. And then the biggest influence was I felt I was at a point in my life where I was becoming more confident with being able to receive intuitive information, because again, my background didn't encourage that. So then I saw this seminar, a weekend seminar, to learn about oracle card readings. And again, it was just for interest. And again, I chose, a very good mentor to study with. And one of the things we learned within this oracle card seminar was there was a layout which was for your relationship with your animals. Now, I didn't even know you could do oracle card readings for that. So majority of the people were doing oracle card readings for each other. But I spotted that just one layout out of 30 layouts that we could practice on. There was one just for relationship with pets and, their human companions. So of course, for some reason I was drawn to that. And so I started to do case studies, and then I found that people who had animals were so fascinated to have that card reading. I was inundated with my case studies. And then in time, I found out that it wasn't just the cards I was reading, because they would send me the photograph of their pet. It wasn't just the card I was reading. It wasn't just the information from the cards that I was sensing. I started to be really curious, like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm getting information that's outside of the card reading. And I would share that with the, animals person, and they would verify it. But also around that time, that was when I had my dog as well. So I used to do card readings to try and understand him. So that's kind of how it started to open a doorway. So
Okay. And so how long did it like when did you start with all the massage and everything, and then that you did all these stepping stones, with the hypnotherapy and everything? What time span are we talking till you started with the oracle readings? What time span is?
I'm trying to think time-wise. As probably when I did my when I started my massage, I would have been in my late 20s. I'm now mid 50s, so that's the time span.
So it was a bit of a time.
Yes, it was quite a time. Yeah.
And when did you start with the oracle reading card or oracle cards?
That would have been because it wasn't long between the oracle cards and going into the animal communication. So the oracle cards I did in, I would say that would have been 8 years ago, something like that, 8 years ago. And then and then I explored animal communication for about a year, because I did case studies, and then I'm professional for about 4 years.
And because for me, I'm like you, I'm not one of these nature intuitives who was always speaking with animals and everything. So I really always love to hear from people who are similar like me, to see how they developed. This gives me also some confidence. What is achievable, really. So that's why I find it really interesting. And so when you start with the oracle cards, did you at the same time or just a short time after that start with the animal communication? Or
very short. There was because I suddenly found that was my interest. I found that the card readings, when I did it for people, I came up with across a lot of their blocks, and for many years, informally through other therapies, I would attract, people who came to me not just for the therapy that I offered. It was very much, they felt that I had an ability to help them, with guidance. So that was in many ways why I wanted to do the oracle cards as well, because it allowed me a way to also offer them spiritual guidance, energetic guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So the oracle cards, I had about, I think I had to do something like 88 case studies.
Wow.
And yes, 88 case studies. And that took me, I mean, I committed to it. So I would say that took me less than a year, but probably nearly up to a year. But in that time, I asked to see if I could include all the animal layouts, because that was where I was really interested. And because of the feedback that I was getting, that the animals were getting better because they had problems, or the relationship between the people and animals were improved, that propelled me into thinking, maybe this is something that I can dedicate my life to. So really, after the case study, I then looked around to see, if there were any courses on animal communication. And I found one that was nearby, and then I read a few books. And even through that time, just to kind of pull in a different angle to it, at that time, although I understood about animal communication in theory, if you know what I mean,
Yep.
my dog, Donnie, had a chronic condition whereby it just got worse and worse and worse over a period of 3 years. And in that year, when I was doing the oracle cards and exploring animal communication, that problem seemed to have got worse for him, which was over chewing of his paws to the point whereby they would bleed. And it got to a point whereby he couldn't walk very well, and he was permanently in that, plastic cone. And I got so upset that I just said to him one day, what can I do? What can I do to help you? And because I think I was just setting that intention so clearly, and probably for the very, very first time, I asked him, I suddenly felt a sensation in my lower back, and I couldn't work out what that was. And then I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I wonder if he's trying to tell me something. And my logic said to me, well, it can't be that, because, he's been told he's got allergies, he's been told, all sorts. But he never showed any sign of a back pain. So I tried by seeking help for him for his back, did some healing for him, gave him some supplements, and after 3 days he stopped. And not only did he just stop, he didn't go back to chewing.
Wow.
And I was just, I thought, when he stopped, I thought, nah, this is a fluke, and then 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Yeah, he even grew back white, because he's a Bichon, so it would used to be red, stained. So he even had like white fur growing back. So that just made me think, this is real. This is real.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's really amazing. Like, if you still needed proof, then this obviously was a proof. Wow.
I've had lots of other proofs since then as well, but he was the starting point. So my own animals have really helped me to understand just the value, not just that it's a lovely thing to do, that it's not just an interesting thing, or wow, this is fun, or this is fascinating, but actually, as I've gone on in my career, the depth of why animal communication is important is I've been able to literally save an animal's life, whereby they were about to be euthanized, and actually they chose life. And the human companion has followed that through, even though it might look as if everything's, what the evidence might be, or what the vet might say. And and you know, they've come out the other end. Either the animal has got better, or it's bought them another month so that they can enjoy their life and have, you know, a closing time. And the value of that is that their human does not have guilt. They do not have guilt after their animal passes. So it can be from one end, which is, you know, it's fun, curious, because I just want to find out if my cat's happy with me or what my horse is not happy about with regards to the food, to the other end of the scale, where animals actually want to choose when they're ready to pass. So yeah, so I didn't know that before I became an animal communicator. I just assume if the vet said that the animal is, you know, ready to be euthanized, and they are lost control of their bladder and they can't walk, that therefore there's no quality of life. I know different, because of what animals have proven to me, that they value their life, even if they can't walk, even if they have incontinence. There are animals that says, I'm not ready, I still want to continue to live, and it's finding a way. So that's why sometimes my role is a mediator, because the human then needs the support to support their animal.
Yeah, wow. And do you have some stories that kind of stick in your mind, you know, some that were really touching or especially fun, or just something that you would like to share with us? Yeah.
I have a funny one. I have lots, but as you're asking me, I'm checking to see who will come in that comes to my memory. I have a funny one, and I have one that you know, is a touching one. A funny one is a dog, and yeah, because I've shared about his story, so I can use his real name. His name is Arthur, and his person contacted me because she was worried about Arthur not getting enough exercise, because he's a greyhound, he's a rescued greyhound, and she said, you know, he needs to have his daily walks, and he needs to be fit, he needs to be healthy, because he's a rescue. And she says sometimes he just refuses to go, and then other times he walk out of the house, 5 minutes later he just turn around and goes back to sleep, doesn't want it. And then she says other times he would want to be out all the time. And she said what was causing a problem was the unpredictability. And the days that he doesn't, she worries. And then some days it might be over 2 or 3 days that he doesn't want to do it. And so she wanted to find out more about it. And she also held, so this is her perception, she held a perception that it's important to walk a dog 3 times a day. Otherwise, they're not getting enough exercise. So when I spoke to Arthur, he just gave me 2 words that made me laugh. He just said, tired legs. He said he had tired legs. And she was going, what do you mean by that? And actually, when I checked his body telepathically and energetically, so what an animal can do is share with me how they feel about their body. He actually had some back issues, not chronic, but his legs really felt quite, they didn't feel toned, they didn't feel like they had strength in them. And so there were times, he says, that his legs felt tired, and there were times when his legs felt better. And what the outcome was more the shift in perception, so that the days when she would open the door and go, do you want to go for a walk, and he looks at her and goes back to sleep, she just goes, oh, I see, you've got tired legs. And then she would be frustrated with him, because before it'd be like, come on, you need to go, you know. But as the story unfolded, what she also did was she took Arthur to see a canine massage therapist. Oh, he loved his massages. He loved his massages. And then one day she sent me a video of him galloping, just running, because he felt better, because she found him a treatment, you know, that made him feel better. But before, she was getting worried, frustrated that she wasn't being a good, you know, guardian to him, because she wasn't exercising him properly. He was going, well, my legs are a little bit wobbly, but, you know, why doesn't she understand that? So now, yeah, he just loves his walks. But those days that he chooses not to, helps her by saying, "Oh, you've got tired legs."
Wow. So through this communication, a shift can really happen with
Absolutely, yes.
in the relationship between the animal, the human, and, well, I guess mainly in us humans, because
Yeah.
for us it's often difficult to understand our animals, and they get us, like they know what's going on in, emotionally with us. But for us it's often difficult to understand what's happening with them. And
Yes.
yeah, well, that's really beautiful, that they can help us shift as well. And what
Oh,
I get from your story is also, I guess, this this lady, she's probably also a bit more relaxed with herself as well, not just with Arthur, but in her life in general, so it's so much about our own perspective in
yes.
life in general. So that is
And
amazing.
that's right. It's being able to understand it from their perspective, and also for them to understand it from our perspective.
Mm,
To me, I see interspecies communication as two ways. So
mm,
yes, it's very much listening to the animal, because that is the valuable part of it. Because usually we just talk to them and we tell them, this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, this is what
yeah,
you're eating. So
yeah.
yes, it's wonderful that we listen to them. But where there is a situation, for example, I had a lady that was struggling with her dog, who was really, really pulling on the lead. I could ask the dog to understand why it was a problem for his person, that she couldn't hold him back, that she was worried that she would fall over, because he was a very, very strong dog. So it's actually important for the animal to also understand it from the human perspective. So it's very much a two-way, very much a two-way.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. That's actually something that I learned from you as well, because I was assuming, okay, the animal can read me, so it knows what's going on, but which it can, but it often doesn't know why I'm doing and why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, And so me being able to explain it to my animal, that will also help to shift things. Like, they
Yes.
have their perspective, and it can also help them to understand us, and then maybe being more open to change something,
Yes, yes.
so
Because sometimes what can happen is that we feel as if, um, we have to give them everything too. But we also live in, with restraints or constraints. We have our own limitations, and animals have limitations, because we're all trying to live within this kind of domestic setting. And having an understanding for each party helps the animal to also, and I've seen it. I didn't know whether that would be something that they would be interested in, but the times whereby the animal has some kind of behavioral issues that's affecting the human, I've given the animal their perspective, and there's been some shift without any kind of behavioral training. I've seen the shifts.
wow.
So usually what happens is that people come to me when they've tried everything. So they might have tried behavioral training, they might have tried, all sorts. And so, because as you know, with animal communication, there's no, it's more about what the animal wants to say, what the human wants to say. And I've seen those shifts. And that, yeah, so that's why I'm absolutely sure that both parties just need to understand each other and then find a way forward. Find a way forward. That's the key.
Yeah, wonderful. So what, as we're wrapping this up, what would you like to share with the viewers? What fascinates you about animal communication, and what would you like to leave them with?
It's a lovely question. I love it. What fascinates me about animal communication is how, now this is going to be an interesting thing, how, I didn't know I was going to say this, how easy it is. And the
Okay.
reason why I say how easy it is because once we really experience, you know, in a way, once we experience the shifts that can happen, that animals are the ones who really want to talk to us. We don't have to think we have to work to receive their communication. They are really seeking more and more humans who are able to connect with them in this way so that they can be represented. So what fascinates me is once we understand that they want to speak to us, then it makes it easy for us to receive the information. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's when we fear that we can't do it, we can't hear them, we don't have the gifts, all those things, then it makes it difficult, or we think it's only for special people. But if we flip it around and really understand, animals really, really want to talk to us. So that's my approach whenever I'm asked to communicate with an animal. I just know that animal has been going, thank goodness somebody can hear me.
Beautiful.
And what I want to leave the viewers with is to allow yourself to explore this. If you allow yourselves to connect with animals in this way, just be open-minded. I believe that animals want more animal communicators. And when I use the word animal communicators, it's in all different capacities, whether you do it just with your own pets, whether you do it informally so that you are just helping animals in general, or whether you want to do it professionally. Animals really want more animal communicators.
Oh, lovely. And yeah, what I can also recommend is, well, what you are offering. So I would, if someone is interested in, learning about this, and they say, wow, that really sounds amazing. Do you want to talk a little bit what you are offering there?
So thank you. Yes. I'd like to make learning with me accessible. I would recommend, if you are completely new to this, then, look up and read some books, watch some videos. Social media is a wonderful platform for you to, look at the various, follow various animal communicators. Find one that you feel very comfortable with. So this is if you're completely brand new. If you have already embarked on an animal communication workshop, or you've done some practice, I'm the one who would like to improve and develop your confidence. So that's how I see my role as a mentor or a teacher, is that I am here to help you develop your confidence. So you already have a desire, you already have, this wish to either pick up from where you started. And I work closely with the site that Marina has mentioned earlier, Josh Cohen, and the site is called Speak Good Human. I have a practice den on that site. So to access my help for free, you go to that site and you can access my practice den and have my help for free. If you want to develop more, if you want me to help you to develop your journey, your personal style to the point where you feel very competent, then I have a membership group, which is all detailed in the practice den as well. It's called the Animal Communication Confidence Booster Group. And I run that as a Facebook group. So if you're a Facebook account holder, you can search for me on there. And that's where I nurture members, and I give my personal attention to the members, and I just watch them grow and flourish, and I'm on hand to answer any questions and pick them up if they drop, and build them up when they are on their journey.
Yeah, and you're doing such an amazing job. Really, I can't just recommend it enough. You created such a lovely group there, and I mean, I might be biased because I'm part of it, but I just love it. And as you said, this part of it of growing the confidence. This is something that I felt in myself, and that I, when I look back now, since we are working together, since we have been working together, how it has changed, and how I I'm feeling more and more grounded with my animal communication. And yeah, it's just really wonderful. So anyone who out there who sees that, you know, it's wonderful. Joanne is also always having these wonderful events each month, and it's a lot of fun. It's very encouraging, and it's just a lovely feel. And I think you also you offer like a coupon code for 3 months. Is that still
Yes,
on?
you can. That's
So,
right. You can. Yes, on the Speak Good Human, if you look for my practice den, and on there it will have a little section that says, you know, you can access my membership group for free for 1 month, and you click on that, and it'll give you the details on how to contact me, and I send you a coupon code. So I would just like learning to be made accessible, and also for that month, what's important is that you feel comfortable with my style, with working, you know, the way that that I would want to encourage and develop you, and then may our path continue to grow after that.
Yeah, so I really love how accessible, as you said, how you accessible you make it. It's I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a no-brainer. So I will also put all the info in the show notes beneath.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, well, thank you so much for your time and
My pleasure.
for sharing yourself with us. So that's
Thank
really,
you, Verena, for inviting me.
oh, my